Hello everybody, welcome back to Danny Plays Minecraft. We're back at the base today. I started working on this stone staircase. As you already saw before, we went to a mangrove biome. There was no audio in that because I was listening to some copyright music. I don't know. Oh, I don't want to fuck around with that. Anyway, so we're back at the base today. We have a new staircase leading down to this area right here. And I went ahead and touched up the cave here and added just a little concrete obstruction here. Makes it look more kind of cave-like, filled in this area here then. So now you kind of just have an open area. Of course this needs to be covered up, and the rest of that isn't really visible from down here unless you like start standing up here where you're not really supposed to walk. But now you come down here, there's a little bit of an opening here. You walk over here, and then you have a wide open area. So what I'm thinking of doing is cutting down actually a good portion of this bamboo here and extending our half-ass honey production place and extending it further into here where we can actually have some sort of factory that produces our honey, because right now it's very small scale. It's not really sustainable at this point, especially since we need a lot of wax for more copper, because yeah, this is what we want it to be right here. But you know, you can't keep shaving away copper. That just like hits away at your durability. So we need to have a larger supply of wax down here. So 3 hives isn't going to cut it for us. So instead what we're going to do is make a long line of them. I'm thinking maybe 16 or more hives, so we gotta start breeding bees then soon. But for this time, we are going to probably extend buildings down to about here, and then start the mangrove section, because the mangrove stuff is here. I don't have any arrows. So the mangrove stuff is here, so I want to make it kind of like a mangrove biome all the way up into the tunnel here, and then have it be some sort of design inside of here. This obviously will be covered up with cobblestone, most likely. And then we'll probably end up filling something inside of this mountain here, just to keep everything useful and utilize as much space as we possibly can within the build. So, I don't have any terracotta really, but I do have a decent bit of mud and mangrove wood from the mangrove biome. So I think we might try and start work on the mangrove portion today. I think that would be a good start to this. So it's going to be this entire area here, and then probably extending back. And then we'll have like another path that leads out into somewhere else, and you know, just a whole bunch of other wacky shit to go along with it. And then once I go back to the mesa and grab more terracotta, then we will start to finish the buildings that need to go here, along with excavating the bamboo. So I think that's a good plan. Let's start that. So I ended up making a little bee to show where our honey is going to be. This is kind of what I have planned right now. So we'll be able to use the entire back of this area as kind of a honey production farm. It can be however many layers I want it to be. I used a mangrove door for here, but it can be however many layers I want it to be. Most likely 3, because down first and then another floor up top. But then it looks like it actually has a meaning behind the build. Like I was looking from here and it's just kind of like dull when you look. It's like, alright. But then now that you got like the bee here, it kind of like shows like here, this is where you get your honey. Another idea that I had is I have all these mangrove stuff. So I was looking over at the top and I was wondering if I could do some sort of canopy with it. Using the mangrove roots. Let me find a way to get up there. I suppose we can just go and use terracotta to pillar up. I mean, I've got like a ton of it anyway. But we go up to kind of like the top here, and then say there was like a roof that was gonna be here. We would string we would string these mangrove roots along the end here onto, say, something like this. This is temporary for right now, but it would all kind of like branch out like it's just one big rooted system, and then stretch over. Then it's on here, and then you keep going from it, and it just kind of gets larger and larger. Like that, and it goes over to here, and then once you have enough mangrove roots that you've like placed down, you grab the mangrove leaves, and then you just kind of like start placing them on top. I mean, it could really work with any leaf, I suppose. I just have mangrove because I was recently there. But then you kind of like cover the little space that is in there. And I mean, that prevents rain from getting in there, which I'm always a big fan about. I don't like really looking at the rain. I know it's there. Just doesn't have to be. And then you get something like that. Go. And obviously making it more dense so that less light shows through the roots. So you just kind of go like that. And then on this side. And something kind of like this. So how would that look from down in here? Obviously it keeps the water. Oh. I mean, maybe if like, okay, how can I make this work? I think if we kind of scattered around the mangrove roots, maybe mixed in a little bit of wood to go on top of it and actually make it look like it's under something, it could work, especially getting some coverage over here, maybe like building up a terracotta more. As for over here, I feel like just kind of leaving it open, and then it can transition over into the mangrove swamp over here, and then we'd obviously have to figure something out with this. Luckily it's not that big of a piece, so we can change it anytime if it doesn't look good, but I think I will spend a little bit and try to redo this and configure it to where it looks a little bit more natural looking. So let's go do that. Yeah, I think it looks much better. So we ended up kind of doing a concealed area, like you feel like you're underground, like sorry, you walk up from here and then it's going into a cave. It's got like a story to it now. So you're going into like a cave. You head down and then you're underground, but like you're like under a big tree or something like that, because there's roots everywhere. There are people living under the tree. What the hell is this place? I don't know. That's kind of it's got like a story to it now, even though it wasn't really intended to be, you know, having a story. So what I ended up doing was I made it a little bit denser on the sides here. I added these root patches where it's just kind of like large enjoyments of roots followed by leaves on top, and then I added some amethyst for color along with some glowstone as kind of hidden lighting just to light things up top there. And then I decided to go over this piece right here with leaves. However, I might put some blocks on top of it just to prevent the dripping effect on here. Not entirely sure if I'm gonna do the same over here. I might kind of make like a leaf entrance, but that is pretty much all done here. Aside from the actual side of the building, we can start making our way into the mangrove section. I will probably need to end up getting more mangrove wood and leaves If I do want to make custom mangrove trees, however, I think that for right now, I might just use pre-generated, although making a custom one does sound a lot better than, or at least in terms of looks, it does sound a lot better than just making, or spawning in mangrove trees, bone mealing them. So I think maybe the way to do it would be to make a couple custom ones. That way I can make them all like wacky and I can interpiece things into them. So I think that we'll start doing that now. Just need to figure out how I'm gonna do it. I think the best way to start it would actually be to use the mud and kind of mud out the area. So destroy a whole bunch of this grass here and then start mudding the area, including probably down here, like have it half grass, half mud, to where you can see it's transitioning over into a swamp or a mangrove swamp. And then obviously get some fence on the side here so you don't fall off into the mud, because you don't want to get dirty in the base. You already kept dry in here. You don't want to ruin that now. So I will see how much mangrove wood I have and how much mangrove leaves I have, and then we'll start probably trying to make some custom mangrove trees. They are going to be probably really big. I want to try and have them stretch towards this cliffside here, and then have it, I don't know a way I can explain. You know, the redwood forest in California, you can look up a picture, and I think one of them, the first is this big redwood tree that grew in the middle of the road, so they just kind of cut through it, or maybe it grew over the road or something. I don't remember. But it's something kind of like that, where it's an archway of a mangrove tree, and then that leads you into the mangrove area. So I think what we'll do to just start it off is get some of the mud down, and then we'll go from there. So this is kind of what we're working with right now. Every time, so obviously my mouse is not the best. So in order to combat this, I think we'll kind of do another thing of custom terrain. By that I mean we're going to get rid of all of this here right now, and we're going to flatten out the land a little bit. And then instead of placing the mud on top of already pre-existing dirt, we're just going to make all new terrain and then do it from there. So we'll probably just actually do something like this, where I kind of just go and, alright, that'll decay. We just kind of make a huge clearing here. And then where I see fit, then it just goes mud, because then at least the dirt is getting moved around. I can then put the mud in, so as long as we go up and then reach over to where our target is, which is right here, we can continue to dig out the rest of this. Now, the problem also is that this shovel is very fast, but then we just kind of go over it with mud, and then unless our computer's mouse starts clicking, like how it's like punching the dirt when I'm not intending to, then everything should start going smoothly for it, and then we can get all the mud in. So then back up and we'll see how that's kind of looking. I'd say that looks like about natural enough to be, obviously it's just the first like batch, but I'd say you can pass off a nice swamp with it. Maybe moving around some of it, flattening. We'll get the area made looking like it's good, and then we'll obviously break a couple things like this and replace it with mud, make it look a little bit more even looking. So let's go ahead and do that. And yeah, I think the mud will look good with this, I hope. And check this out. So we have a brand new mangrove wood railing, some mangrove wood here, And then I just went ahead and grabbed some stuff from the chest, and I went ahead and made kind of a small little garden here. Added some hay bales for a little bit of extra detail, moss blocks, and then got some bone meal to help the bottom. And then for over here, we burnt down that one tree and then made a tiny little river that goes across the like mini mangrove area. So put maybe a little bit more mud over here, but then we did that. We have a little step here if you ever want to go in here and just chill out. And then that's all that we did for this. And then on the other side, I kind of started. I'm having the water drain off into this little pond here. So I'm debating now if I want to continue the railing that goes this way, because these buildings are going to end at some point, or if I just want to make the mud kind of trail up to it and then have a cliff of mud here. I'm kind of leaning towards the cliff of mud, but I don't know, we'll see which one looks best, unless one looks good by default. Now, the next thing I want to do is something right here, because obviously there's a little hole right here that you can see in. I don't know, I was kind of thinking of like putting something here. Don't know what though. I mean, it is kind of like an easy access area if you are coming from here, so maybe I will leave a little space open that I can like fly through. Because if you're coming over to here and you want to go see whatever I'm going to have in the mangrove area, all you need to do is just jump up here and there you go, you're in. Instead of having to go and do the full circle around. Even though it is the more scenic route, you can always just have a cut through here. So maybe I will end up doing something like filling this in, but leaving a small circle, and then have something that kind of blocks the other edge of it, so you can just kind of go down and down to whatever's in there. So have it blocked from like visual area here, but then have a shortcut area where I can just kind of go down for practical use. As for what I want to do next with this, obviously I want to make some mangrove trees, but I also had the idea of kind of making like the mangrove men or something, or like the mud people. But that is pretty much, or at least what my thinking of it is it's people who live in the mud huts of the base and then under the mangrove trees, because they're gonna have large roots. So maybe I can set up like some sort of tent or something, and it's just villagers that live kind of underneath the mangrove wood. Now, I do need a way to keep them contained, because I don't exactly want villagers roaming around the streets of this place or really into the actual base. I want to kind of have them in a contained area. So what I'm thinking is making some sort of like fence system around some, or at least trying to find something that can keep them contained, because you don't want them walking around and kind of disturbing everything, especially if it's like a quiet area. Keeping them down here is what I want to do. So I need to find out some way that I can keep them inside of here, and then obviously get a path that goes up, and then a small bridge over the river, and then to our rail area. I also use the rest of my mangrove wood as kind of like a dirt substitute. But then we'll figure out a design for here, and then obviously we need to get done the big titan of that, which is the rest of this hill or cliffside, because I still have absolutely no idea what I want to do for it, because it's kind of a weird shape now. What I suppose I can do is have it come out a little bit and then head back in, and then continue that way around, because it's already looking sort of natural on this side, aside from the like actual wood pillar that you, or the wood piece that you have here. If as long as you cover that up, it doesn't look like that bad. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem, I don't think. The only real problem I can think of right now is making the actual trees and getting them to look good, because I've never built mangrove. I've never really built trees that much. Like, obviously in like Skandani or something, I built trees in there. Even then, it's been a long time since I've built trees in here, but it's been so long since I've actually built trees, so experimenting with a different type of tree. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I think I did a pretty good job when it comes to keeping this covered. I mean, that looks natural enough. So who knows, maybe it'll actually look really good. But aside from a few small decisions that I have to make, which I will be doing for the next episode, there isn't really much else that needs to be done for this episode, at least. I mean, we are running out of time right now, so I think I'm going to end it off here. So thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I hope to see all of you in the next one. Goodbye everyone, and have a great day.